If you had 24 hours left and infinite money, what would you do? Story 1. Pay off the mortgages of everyone in my family, make billions in charitable donations, throw a huge party, and then pull up a chair in front of the ocean and wait. Story 2. Animal shelters. Like the ones that are really doing the work and actively trying to match pets with forever homes. Not the BS rescues that pay six-figure salary and provide a luxury SUV to the board, aka one lady and her kids, and charge a $500 adoption fee while everything from labor to veterinary care is donated. Story 3. In no particular order. Pay off all debts. Buy properties and put it under my wife and son's names. Hire a good accountant and attorney to manage assets. Invest. Buy several franchises from popular food chains to maintain cash flow. Set up a trust fund for my son with stipulations that make sure he gets an undergraduate and master's degree related to business. Make sure wife is set for life. Hire a team of professionals and lawyers to manage assets. Story 4. Donate to shelters, food banks, hospitals, animal shelters. Pay for university for those becoming doctors. Our community has a shortage of doctors. Donate to schools so teachers have enough supplies for their students, and every kid can afford to go on school trips. Last may seem a little selfish, but I would pay off my family's mortgages. Story 5. About 2 years ago, my cat was very sick and needed to be put down. She was 22, so had a good long life. On her last day, I got her a vanilla milkshake since she loved them but wasn't supposed to have them. My roommate and I sat with her all day watching TV and letting her lap up as much milkshake as she wanted. Whenever my time comes, I hope that I have a little bit of time to sit with someone I care about, watch some TV, and sip a milkshake. I don't need any more than that. Story 6. Lol, that's like asking me to play God for 24 hours. Cancel medical debt for massive global populations, set up an alternative to the IMF to rival the global order, and fund countries in need of infrastructure. Create institutions to launch free education programs, fund mRNA projects that close to cure. But since I only have 24 hours to live, I'd find the most capable lawyer to write this all in my will, put all this money in a trust, and give it to someone to handle it. IDK, who probably would have been Mr. Rogers had he been alive. And then bang models until my death, or by snoo-snoo, whichever comes first. Story 7. 24 hours is not a long enough time to do some crazy life-changing thing. I'd probably spend it with my family if possible, and maybe use the money to get whatever food I wanted. If you said a week or month, I'm sure I'd say I'd travel. But at the end of the day, your life boils down to being with who you love. And if I had 24 hours, no amount of money would matter. Story 8. I'd donate a shit ton of money to every animal shelter I could get in touch with. Set them up with glorious holding facilities rather than small gated spaces for the doggos, and enough cash to pay lots of employees who can keep the dogs and cats company all day. A large dog park to let them play around in, and a large cat room full of towers and toys. Story 9. Well, I'd pay my hot coworker to sit on my face if she would be willing to do so. Otherwise, I guess I would spend the day eating ice cream from Dairy Queen and boating swimming at the local lake. Oh, and I would also donate lots of food and other supplies to the animal shelter. I want to pet their kitties too. Story 10. I would try everything to boost up the tattoo shop of my SO. She had a lot of concerns and self-doubt the last few months. If she's doing the right thing with her shop, that she's not good enough. Nothing would make me more happy in my last 24H than seeing her shop growing and that people recognize her beautiful traditional tattooing. She put so much effort and love in all her stuff. I look up to her in so much ways. Story 11. Assuming I just got the money and couldn't plan ahead, I'd set up a trust fund where each child and grandchild got a payment each birthday, on Christmas, at HS and college graduation, wedding, birth of a child, etc. Although there would be specific payments during the life of the trust, the grandchildren could not inherit the total trust fund amount until they were 45 and could show 20 years of work history. I'd authorize the trust to have a house bought for each child/grandchild owned by the trust fund that the child/grandchild could live in, and or rent with requirements that they must follow to keep control of the property. I'd have a maintenance company run it who would check to make sure these conditions were met. I would buy birthday cards for each of my grandchildren up to their 18th birthday, and then HS graduation, college graduation, a wedding, a get well, several congratulations on the birth of your child, and retirement card for each with age-appropriate personal wisdom. I'd also write a retirement card for each child and a personal letter to every relative or friend I thought was close enough to warrant such a letter, and then I'd tell each what they meant to me. Story 12. I'd dump a couple billion in the S&P 500 with my family as the benefactors. Then I'd pay cash for the biggest possible plot of land I can find in 24 hours. Toss $2 billion in a trust, and instruct my family and friends that it's theirs to build whatever houses they want in the land. I'd set up another trust with strict instructions that it be only spent to support struggling lower-income families. Story 13. Other than throwing money at the nearest hospital on the off chance they could save me, donate a crap ton of money to various charities, family members, and anyone else who asks nicely. Afterwards, I'd find the closest receptive, attractive chick and offer her a blank check to make whatever time I have left enjoyable. Mind you, I'd make sure the person ain't doing this out of desperation. I'd want to be relatively sure whoever she is can actually enjoy life afterwards. Story 14. Spend an hour or so writing checks to all my friendly or decent coworkers that are still stuck at a shit job I had not long ago. I'd give them a big check on the condition they no notice quit, just to know I fucked over the boss. One of my best friends is a financial advisor and very trustworthy. I'd give him a fuckload of money to set up a foundation to help tons of worthy causes and people in need. I'd also have him set up trusts for all my friends and family, including himself and his family. Then I'd do one last short hike with the family and doggos, have a nice meal and a few drinks, then drop. Story 15. Try and take my kids to do as many things they wanted to do and buy them stuff they will need after I'm gone. That is a house for each, vehicles, furniture, etc. And store everything. That way, when they become adults, life may be a little bit easier for them. I would also donate a fuck ton of money to as many local charities as possible and non-local charities. But over just spend time with my kids. Story 16. Set up my family to be immediately debt-free, then a top-notch portfolio for residual income via finance manager, possibly a Dave Ramsey-style manager. Buy them a business with an advisor to learn how to run and become self-sufficient for the long term. But all that is on hold, pending successfully completing some ethics courses, giving them guiding principles on how to use their positions responsibly. Yes, I suppose that's subjective. My greatest desire for them is to be good people, religion notwithstanding. Goodness without courage is useless. Courage without goodness is dangerous. Again. Establish a perpetual fund for research and development in various fields of study to continually foster innovation and progress. This fund would provide grants to individuals who have a vision but lack the means to develop it. I realize all that is a bit more complex. This is just a summary of my wishful thinking. Story 17. Put $5 million per family member, all the way down to my grandnieces/nephews and first cousins once removed, in a trust fund with another $1 million in mutual funds. Another $1 million in a fund so my wife can rebuild or renovate our house to live the remainder of her life comfortably. $10 million to every decent charity I can think of, as well as to homeless shelters and organizations. Then rent a harbor cruise ship and take my entire family out for a 5-star meal on the water while watching the stars. Or head out into the mountains and BBQ under the stars without light pollution. Story 18. Buy all large medical companies that make drugs and medicine. Buy all food companies. Buy all insurance companies. Buy all natural resource companies. Buy all the big tech companies. Buy all large infrastructure companies. Buy all rail companies I can get. Buy all the large real estate companies. Buy as many hospital chains as I can. Buy agriculture giants. Buy chemical and bio companies that make fertilizer. Buy law firms. Just buy a few large banks for the sake of it. Buy credit card companies. Buy as many of the large news outlets and media companies out there. Turn them into charitable nonprofit foundations. Story 19. I would be devastated and just spend the day with my son. He's 2.5, so he won't remember. And I'll be dead and he won't remember. He'd get whatever money I have. And I'd make a video to tell him how much I love being his mom and loved him more than I could ever explain. Story 20. I'd come up with an amazing schedule of enriching activities to make sure I get the most out of life in 24 HRS. But really, I'd probably spend all day on my phone scrolling social media, go, oh shit, with a few hours left and try to cram everything in at once, fail, and spend my last moments eating Taco Bell in a parking lot. Story 21. Gather as many family members as possible, reminisce about old times, laugh, play games, enjoy my grandkids. Make sure my infinite money was shared among said family members with instructions for them to share it with the poor, hungry, and needy. Story 22. Secure my family's and everyone else's future by setting up a trust that creates wealth and gives a job to all. Plus, end world poverty, famine, disease, etc. End world conflict and get all nations to work together in the future towards the same goals. Resolving global warming, cleaning up the planet from all types of pollution. Plastic, chemical, etc., etc. Stop corporations polluting. Put a stop to ships disposing of waste in international waters, which is one of the seriously big reasons why we have the Pacific garbage patch, as some corporate entities pay to have this done at sea to save money. Basically, I'd want to leave a cleaner planet with more peace and cooperation and love for all. Infinite money would go a long way to resolving it and help future generations. But story 23. I have realized nothing from the internet is going to arrive fast enough. My course of action would be to drive to the bank and ask to make a deposit. I would put as much money as I could in it, then write my will to donate $5 million to each of my family members. I would then work down my bucket list, skydiving, going to as many parties as I could, and gambling a ton, knowing I have nothing to lose. With a couple hours left, I would visit as many family members as I could and telling them I love them. Story 24. This is what I was born to do. First, I'd hire a consultancy firm or something to buy up all the property and land for sale in the world and instruct them to make offers so large they can't be turned down to all major corporations. Then give everything away to an organization for political change like Extinction Rebellion and tell them to make a better world with it. One that benefits people and the planet rather than shareholders' bottom line. Then I would donate the largest possible amount of money that wouldn't crash the world economy to cancer research. If I had any time left over, I would order a statue of me to be made, one of those stupidly large ones, and throw in a couple random ideas like, have me holding a defecating tortoise in one hand and give me an elephant hat just to confuse people in the future. Story 25. I would pay off the mortgages, car loans, credit card debts, etc. of every family and friend I possibly could. I would purchase huge swaths of land, forests, coastal areas, islands, etc., and have it drawn to be left in a trust to environmental groups to protect forever. I'd leave massive amounts of money to public colleges, so for years students can go to college for free, inject local schools with massive funds so they can become state-of-the-art and available for all. Leave a shitload of money to various charities to do with environment, animal welfare protection, etc., etc. As much stuff like that as I could in 24 hours, that would be awesome. Story 26. Hire the chef from Cupini's in Kansas City to fly to my home in California to prepare my final meal of their tortellini carbonara. This, after funding scholarships at 8 specific private universities, 1 seminary, and my alma mater, Fresno State, to provide perpetual free education for the students at those schools. I would then pay off the debt at the churches my family is affiliated with and make huge donations to their ministries. Finally, I would set up my family for life and for generations to come with access to my financial planner and their company for the future, to make sure they wisely spend their inheritance. Then I would sit down and enjoy that last dinner from Cupini's. Story 27. I'd get in touch with all persons in positions of power in the world, plus the best engineers on the planet to have them both develop a plan to provide access to clean water for every person on Earth, no matter the cost, with a strict timeline. I'd appoint all high schools in the United States and world to follow the progress closely, placing power in the hands of the students interested to hold them accountable, and that it gets done. Story 28, infinite money like they just come up in my bank account. I'm just going to donate 10 million to a few organizations, people I know, my family. Then I'm going to go to a damn fancy restaurant with whoever close to me is available. I'll probably talk all big and overdramatic because I'm that kind of person. Then what else? I don't know. It literally is a position where the only things I could do are to give. Story 29. Pay off my house so my husband doesn't have that worry. Pay off all our debts, cars, etc. Then do the same for my sister and both my parents and my in-laws. Set up a fund for our baby to have money for the future. Buy my friend a new car. Buy cousin a new car. And set him up with a bank account to help fund his dream. Invest into something in my husband's name so he can continue reaping the benefits of the money after the 24 hours is up. I'd also probably give some big lump sums of money to people close to me. Story 30. Like many others, I'd absolutely and permanently destroy the world economy by giving so much money, everything would be free to those who need it forever. Free housing, healthcare, education, food, etc., to everyone. Fund medical research to create cures for disease, not just treatments for profit. Crash the markets and devalue stocks to make the rich into the poorest class in the world, because they would be the only people who wouldn't understand how to live. Story 31. Well, after the existential crisis of knowing I would die the next day and hope that the 24 hours started when I was informed, rather than at 12 a.m. that day, meaning I've lost time by sleeping. Gas up the old car and go to every hospital I can reach in the last 24 hours of my life and pay off every medical debt there. Story 32, be with my family. Pay for them to get to me as fast as possible and order lots of good stuff to eat and drink. Maybe rent a small bus so we could go places close by together where we have lots of memories together. I would trust my family to do what was best for them and the world with the infinite money they would inherit. I wouldn't waste the little time I had left to use it for other people than myself. Story 33. Make sure that my son was set up and taken care of financially. I would spend the day with him, take him to his favorite restaurant, Let him know what a fine young man that he is and how proud I am of him. I would tell him to always respect and take care of his mom. It would be a difficult 24 hours for sure. Story 34. I'd set up a bunch of trusts to be used for each state to lobby, market, as well as nonprofits. Give them trillions each. The conditions of the trust would be for specific reasons: universal health care, homelessness, inmate rehabilitation, sex trafficking, free education, and the biggest of them all, anti-corruption. These would all be done in my name. They would work to make a better world because I'd also my sperm stored. Any women who met a specific criteria would be eligible to get pregnant and would be supported through her and the kid's life. All this so my kids could grow up in the world I wanted for them. They would see all these life improvements in my name for them, but also for everyone else who wants to have kids but can't afford it and don't want to bring kids into the world we currently live in. Story 35. Use the infinite money to either seed chaos or crash the economy for funsies. Make a bunch of people way richer than all the weenie rich people to watch people like Elon cry that they aren't in the top 1,000 richest people or something. Future ramifications would not be my problem.